Welcome back. Welcome back. It's another Militiaman and MAGA Force comic book art show. How's everybody doing tonight? It's been quite something recently. I'm getting a lot of new subscribers. I suppose when you stream almost every night, you feed the algorithm. The algorithm is hungry. Feed the algorithm. So it's been pretty neat. Getting some international friends on here. Germany, Brazil, and then some of my regular friends. And I get friend requests every day, a couple times a day. So that's kind of cool. Just the idea of like, what would this be like to do this full time? Oh, wow. Is that Splattercat? Yes. All right, let the games begin. Let the games begin. So, I'll dive right in on the politics stuff. Something that's intriguing me is the question of Elon Musk versus Steve Bannon. So Steve Bannon's got clout, he's Steve Bannon. So, and he's very, very, very vehement about getting Musk off of the Trump admin. And you can, go to Steve Bannon's show about that. Bannon is not like a racialist or something, but I would say to some extent his thinking is closer to ours. I don't know if that's 100% true, but I don't think he wants the U.S. government to just turn into a giant corporate shill. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna need to tune into his war room and maybe subscribe to it or something like that and just get a look at that. But I think it's interesting how Trump is pretty much not married to, but he's very much on the Musk bandwagon, if you want to put it that way. Splattercat says the ADL came out in defense of Elon, by the way. In defense of him. Oh, oh boy. Well. What that means is that that really, really, man, that's such a reveal. You know what I'm saying? That's okay, here are our playing cards. I guarantee you if anybody else had pulled that little Sieg Heil stunt, they would immediately have a page at the SPLC, I gotta say, I feel like Barron Trump is kind of slipping in his own little Sieg Heils in there. I don't know if you guys have seen the footage, but he does the little Hitler wave. It's kind of like a mini Sieg Heil. It's sort of, if you've seen the footage, you'd know what I mean. It's kind of puts his finger up to his ear, sort of. I don't know. To me, it's it's too, from my perspective, it's too obvious. It's too, you wouldn't do those things at such an event, such a high-profile event, if you weren't trying to signal something. Now, I might be wrong. You know, maybe these guys are totally disconnected. I don't know. But there is something about Barron Trump that's quite fascinating. Maybe it's just his silence. You know, sometimes when people don't talk, you have to fill in the blanks and imagine things about them, and then you get attached to those things when they're not even really real, you know. Anyway, um, but at the same time, I feel as if memes have a sort of a manifestation magic. I really genuinely believe that memes can you can meme things into reality. I don't know if that's like manifestation or not per se. I mean, I'm not sure how you would measure such a thing. But there you go. Anyway, let me say a quick hello to my good friend Hippocratic Oath. Shalom. And I'm the Inosuke is here. Wow. It's so impressive. Wow, gosh, what a lovely thing to say. I don't think you've been here before. You're new to my channel, so I'll show you some art that's a lot better than. Well, once something is inked, it's much easier to see. You know what I mean? I guess we'll pull out the old Imperium art book and do our usual rounds with that. This show has become an excellent marketing device for my book, which you can get at my link, which is on the homepage of this YouTube. Look for kent-art.weebly.com right on the homepage of this YouTube, and you can see Imperium Calling. So I've got comics in here, fine art, illustration of all kinds. So impressed, bro. I like it. Cool. Thanks, dude. I don't know. Are you a dude? I can't tell from the icon there. Let's just give you a little look at some kind of concept art that I do. It's sort of conceptual art. A lot of cool stuff going on in the Donald Kent world. There's Militia Man. That's the dude I'm drawing right now. So let's get back to work and let the convo begin. So I met Steve Bannon some years ago. If you know about the Donald Kent lore, then you would know this story. Back around 2017, I was trying to start something that I called the Patriot Convention. And the idea was to have a monthly convention for which would be something like a vendor fair, but with local politicians, local mom and pop shops, like a vendor fair type space, music, and build the culture of MAGA. You know, this is back 2017-ish, and I networked my way all the way up to Steve Bannon. He came to town on a speaking tour, and long story short, I got to meet him. So, and I told him about the. Hey, so just a quickie, Inosuke, go ahead and subscribe to this channel. I stream quite a lot. But anyway, so now I have this new project that I've done a lot of research on. You can't, in a sense, call it a project if it's not like off the ground yet. But I'd say that I'm thinking about launching it or trying to figure out how to launch it. And it's sort of like the new improved Patriot Fair, Patriot Convention, but more in the context of what's I don't know if I should reveal it at this point, but more within the context of the fact that we're being replaced demographically, by foreigners. And so distinguishing ourselves as like the original Americans makes us a certain demographic, you know. And as such, I think that that would be a great reason I guess a reason or point on which to come together and work together for our collective interests. So it's kind of underway. Um, I'm sorry, I'm kind of talking and drawing and looking at different stuff. Hey, Soy Goy Roy is here. I'm doing okay. We're kosher as always. um, so there you go. Kosher certified. Did you guys ever hear of Kosher certified? Do you know what that is? It's an app you can download. I hope that it hasn't been shut down. Uh, that's something worth looking into. Anyway, it's an app for your phone that you can take to the supermarket, and you sort of put it over different items that you want to buy, and it will tell you if the item is kosher, or I forget what's the other thing called, like for Muslims. What do they call that? When, it's like okay for Muslims to eat or whatever that's called. And the point of it is so that people don't buy those items, so that we're not giving our money to our enemies, to people who are using those funds to harm us politically, culturally, religiously, I guess you could add that. So that's a pretty cool thing to have. Halal, that's a haram. Hi, dude. Joe Mama's here. Yeah, so I met the dude who created, what's it called? Kosher Certified at the White Art Collective Music Festival. I forget what year was that. That was before 2000, probably 2019, I think. Yeah, maybe. It was before the 2020 election was stolen. That, I could probably talk about that. That was a really fabulous experience, the music festival. Chad Love is here. All right. Long time no see. I'll be listening in the background. Cool beans, man. Good to have you here, Chad. Joe Mama says, what you working on today? So I'll back out a little bit. This is part of, we're in the middle of like a big superhero fight. And like I've got dozens of pages scattered around near my desk here, and nothing's really in order, but so I'll kind of zoom in on this. Maybe it'll be easier to see. So we have these two characters. This guy's called Song of the South, and he's just missed getting blasted by Golden Heart. So then he kind of yells like, "Hey, dude on the roof, jump off, and here I'll kind of like fly him into you, coming around the bend here. You jump off and grab him, So that character, he jumps off, and he has this kind of ability to kind of transform into this sort of lion type creature. Lands on Song of the South's back, but he has this kind of like banshee scream, this super super loud scream. So he kind of turns around and screams at this guy. I'll be just using like some kind of graphics in the middle here, which basically knocks him out. And then in the next panel, you can see that Goldheart sweeps down and grabs him because he fell, like he's unconscious. So there's a kind of a swoop, and then like there'll be like a thud right here, THUD, to show that he got caught. And so when you're doing action sequences like this, it's fun to kind of break up the panels in this way to make them like angled and whatnot, because it gives the page more motion. It's the whole thing is about making the eye move around the page, you know. Victorian time travelers here. We talked yesterday about the commissioning of some illustrations. I have to think about it for a while. So I got a message from my website, and it just had an email address. Was that you, time traveler? Because it didn't have a message, it just had an email address. Excuse me. So I wrote back saying, is this you? Is this regarding the commission? So I don't know if that was you. So let's just get to work here. There's a certain page I really want to find, but I don't want to stop the action. But yeah, take your time with that. To be honest, I'm a bit tied up with stuff too, though. Like I got some freelance going on. Just figure it out as it goes. Let's see. When I have the money, that's fine. Yes. Joe Mama says you mentioned panel layout yesterday and how you can take like a class or something like that. Could you tell me about that? Well, okay. So, to my knowledge, there's only like 2 places in the United States that actually are like colleges for learning comic book illustration. One is the Savannah, it's like Savannah University of Arts and Design, something. And the other one is the Kubert School in New Jersey. Joe Kubert is one of the founding artists of like Marvel Comics and DC Comics. He's like one of the old dogs, in the industry. And so his sons both draw in the comic book industry, and they pretty much run the school now. I'm sure that there's got to be dozens of resources on the internet, though, by now, after many, many years of, people working in comics and posting shows and this and that. There's got to be stuff out there. A lot of what I've done is kind of taught myself. I'll be honest, since I worked at different Comic Cons, I've known and have met lots of different artists who have taught me techniques and stuff. Back like years ago, it was actually easier to get in touch with a lot of these professionals on Facebook because I don't know. I mean, it's Facebook. And like what I would do though is I would reach out to the old dudes, like the guys that have been drawing in comics since like the 1970s or 60s or 70s, and they're older now, and they're legendary in terms of like, these were the guys that were there in the Bronze Age or whatever. And they're only famous really among people who love comics. So they're very approachable, You get other guys that are kind of douchebags, and they're not going to answer your email or your message or whatever unless you're offering to pay them money for something, They're like, I'm a rock star, I'm a prima donna, So I was able to, correspond with these various inkers, mostly inkers, because like there's something about inking that, I mean, drawing is one thing, but inking it's like an art in and of itself. And like the whole everything is kind of embedded in it. I'll just kind of put it that way, you know. Um, what else can I say? So you know what I think I'm gonna need to do is I'm probably gonna need to just do a stream about panel design, because like I'm working right now. You know what I mean? Like my focus is on doing the work that I need to get done. But this is a really, really, really good question, and I think I'm getting a lot of artists, comic book artists, like just coming off the internet, and they're whatever the keywords and the algorithm and all that stuff, and they want to learn, you know. So you're not the first to ask. As such, I should be, you know, I should put together a little lesson, you know. All right, so let's check the chat for a sec here. How did you learn to do panel layout? So I wouldn't say that I learned it per se. I I'll put it this way, like I invented my own way of learning. So what I mean by that is that I would go through my comics and then I'd look for really cool panel layouts that I liked. And then I would get like, you know, little scraps of paper and I would make little bookmarks in on those pages, you know. And then I would like create a scene with say some characters I invented and then copy the panel layouts. I'd be like, okay, I've got a, let's say this guy is sort of like a Tiger Man, you know. Well, maybe I would see a cool panel with, say, Black Panther. And then instead of drawing Black Panther, I draw my Tiger Man guy, you know, doing whatever, like leaping off a building or something, you know. And it's not so much the panel, of course, it's the way, the design of how they all lay out together and how that ends up reading, you know, how that tells a visual story. There's a really, really good book you have to get. It's called Panel Discussions. And that's like a pun, right? Like a panel discussion, meaning people at a table having a discussion versus like a comic book panel. I have the book like in the other room. But if you look up panel discussions, you know, comic book art, it's, you know, it's quite likely you'll just find it on the internet somewhere. That is, I'm going to kind of leave you with that so I can sort of get focused here. Just because it's too big of a question for what I have going on at the moment here. I can try to, I don't know, like I say, when you're drawing and answering questions, it's like, it's like juggling and riding a unicycle. It's easy to drop the ball, you know. And I am actually anxious to see what the rest of the chat is at the moment. I think just one thing on the panel layout stuff. It's like watching a movie. Let's say you were an actor and you're watching a movie. What you're really doing is you're watching the performances. You're watching for the acting techniques. Like, what did Christian Bale do in this scene that made it so cool? Or, you know, why is Nicolas Cage so unique? Like, what is it about his performances and his style? How is so and so able to like create characters? Blah blah blah. And so you're not really watching a film. What you're doing is studying acting techniques. You know, in that case. So that's how you have to look at comics. You have to study them. Don't just be like, oh wow, this is a cool story. Oh yeah, fun. Wow. No, it's actually a workbook. You know, in the College of Comics. You know what I'm saying? I was just so, I had such a burning passion to do this, and nobody to teach me to do it. I had to teach myself. You know what I'm saying? And I think a lot of artists do. There's just a ton of people that come up and they're like, there was nobody around to show me how to do this. I had to figure it out by myself. Let me look at the chat. Oh boy, a lot of chat going on here. Have you met John De La Rose? You must know that I published with John De La Rose. I'm assuming you know that. So I haven't met him physically, but we're friends and we've done a lot of work together. I'm just wondering because his comment section seems to be very red-pilled sometimes for a YouTube chat. Yeah, John he's one of us. I mean, he's very professional. He's very smart about his online presence and how he acts. Like I'm not. I shoot my mouth off and I share all my private personal problems and he's very professional in the way that he acts, and he knows not to talk about a certain tribe that is ruling the world right now, and keep his channel up so it doesn't get taken down, all that good stuff. He's very smart in that way. He's teamed up with Vox Day now, which is a gigantic leap forward for him with his comics and all the things he's doing, and for what do you call it, Comicsgate in general. So yes, he's had John on before. Yeah, John and I have been on shows together. Victorian says, if someone wants to learn, my advice would be to take an art class at your local community college. Try to get financial aid, and you might be able to go free. There are adult learning classes in drawing. Lots of colleges have, what do you call it? When you have like a live nude model, figure drawing that's just open to the public. Get out there and make friends with different artists. See what you can learn from that. There's, like I said, there's a bazillion YouTube channels where there's people teaching how to draw. Comic book illustration is not like everything else, though. It really is a style. I don't know if style's the word, but it's its own thing. It's its own thing. So, a very normal thing to do in comics, or if you want to be a comics artist, is to kind of grab like a couple books, pick out your favorite artists, and just copy their work. Like draw. Even I would even suggest getting like a tracing pad. You know what tracing paper is? Kind of like transparent, semi-transparent paper, and just put it over the comics and trace their work. I did do that for a while when I was starting out, because I could not understand how do they do this. Like, I don't understand the thinking of like, how do you make shiny leather, or how do you draw an arm that's facing you, or how do you blah 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 blah, blah, all these different things. And when you physically draw those things by copying them with tracing paper, you actually physically see and feel and do it. And then there's like a aha moment of like, whoa, okay, it's coming together. It's making some sense. Now, whatever it's that people, oh, that's cheating, you're copying. No, you're practicing. If you were a musician, you would practice your scales, or you would learn a song by the Beatles, or you would, you know what I'm saying. You play other people's music so that you learn how to play music. And you can kind of do that with comic book artists as well. So I strongly recommend that. That's a very good learning technique. I hope I'm helping. I think I am. Let's move on. Let's see. We got a couple redacted. My channels here. Are we still talking about autism? I would say no. Um, Unless we're talking about Elon Musk and Barron Trump, I guess. I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, moving on. We got talking about Barron Trump. Yes, 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 yes. Do 100 artists paint her portrait? I don't understand the question there. Hail Don, Jilly Storm is here. Jelly. All right. Thank you so much for coming, Jelly. It's always nice to have you here. Yeah, we're just talking about, ways to learn comics. For me, I always say over and over that it's the poor man's filmmaking. And so, oh, here's a good idea. Oh, I think I just came up with a good idea. Let's say, think of any film you like, and see if you can look up the storyboards for that movie. You know, just any movie. I mean, you can. I don't honestly know if they'll be online, but let's say, Guardians of the Galaxy or something. Storyboards, Google it, fish around. You should see something out there. And then if you see the way that a film storyboard artist lays out the panels, that then the director will use that, on set, and he'll show that to the cameraman and the actors. And it could be a good way to approach comic book illustration. Now, granted, pages like this, for example, are sort of designy. So, like, for example, there's no panel on the first image. I just left a scene from another battle, and I'm starting a new scene here. So, by having an open panel like that, it gives the sense of space and openness. Okay, these two guys are flying through the sky, right? I'm leading the eye across the panel. It's not technically breaking the fourth wall, but I have him overlapping this panel to give him a stronger sense of depth here, And then this panel looks as if it's sliding in from off screen. See how that goes off the page? And that's because, this guy like pressing his little radio button on his ear, shouting out, hey, I missed him, you know, coordinate over here, something, That's the part of the scene. Then I do an over-the-shoulder shot where I don't know how well you can see it because it's penciled, but we see this Tiger Man, on the corner of a roof of a building. You can see the other building in the background, sets the context. We see the two superheroes flying around, and bingo, he jumps, he leaps off. It's, again, hard to see, but you can see the edge of the building that he just jumped off behind him. So everything that happens kind of has to continue to happen in the next scene. It's how you make it believable. So these are just different points, I guess, that you can have a look at. So a buddy of mine, local buddy, he's a filmmaker. He and I are thinking of doing a memorial show for David Lynch. Probably going to be next week. I'm just a film fan. I don't make films, so I mean I make films on paper, I guess, right? But yeah, my friend is, really, he's very serious about film, and so it's looking like it's going to be a really cool show. He's like a real close friend, so and we kind of nerd out a lot about film and stuff like that. So I think it's going to be neat. It's just casual. We'll show some clips, and my friend being a young indie filmmaker, he kind of has a certain angle where he wants to talk about David Lynch as like one of the great American filmmakers, and it's kind of a wild story. I don't know if you guys know this, but they found him. He died while he was meditating. It's kind of interesting. I feel like I'm not worried at all about him. Like this is a dude who was like a true kind of esoteric astronaut. Like he knew what he was doing. So I think that he probably I don't know. He probably chose to leave his body permanently, I would say. In Buddhism, you have these like high level aesthetics that they they can do out of body at will pretty much, and then they choose when they're gonna die. You know, if they feel like, oh, I've done enough here and I'm gonna be heading out now. You know. It's kind of interesting. All right, so what do we got? Hail Donald. Oh, hey. All right, Michael Bush is back. Hey, Kent, what's shaking, big guy? What are you up to? So I'm just working on another page. How was your day today, guys? Anything done? I took a couple days off due to weather. Which was nice for me. I mean, granted, the weather was so bad, like people getting in car accidents and the like. But I really needed that time off. I got caught up on some adulting crap that needed to get done, and then kind of laid out some research for freelance business stuff, uh, setting up a little bit of freelance web work, and catching up on some sleep. But just staying out of the cold, because like the country's been in like an Arctic freeze. It's been a really bad. I was talking to another friend, lives out in the Midwest, and I think he said it was like 50 below where he was. 50 below, dude. That's like definitely inhuman. And like he can't stand it. He's like, I gotta move out of here. I can't go another year like this. Pretty harsh. What's the temperature been like where you guys are? let's see. Yes, I caught some Z's myself. Think it was due to being cold. Yeah, I think the cold does make us sleepy, doesn't it? I would think so. I think something about the cold that kind of does that to a person. I also lack of sunlight, probably. You know, gotta take your vitamin D. I do that every day. Let's see. We are coloring these later. I spoke about that actually the other day. I will be hiring someone to color them. So at some point when I get this up online and I'm publishing it on my website, my new website, I will do like a crowdfunder to, pay for the coloring, digital coloring of the pages. It's a thing, it's an art form in itself. And yeah, but I just don't have time. I don't have time to do the coloring. So let me show you something. Um, this is kind of cool. Let's take a little break from what we're doing here for a little show. So we're talking about coloring for a second here. The coloring you just saw, I think, is kind of basic, but coloring is an art form in and of itself. Color has mood. You know what I'm saying? Let me see if I can zoom in on this a bit. I can So we see the scene, but the use of the color in this is very rich, and it just has a certain kind of mood to it. It sets a type of a tone. Now, filmmakers know that. Filmmakers know that. If it's spooky or sad or jarring or like should make you feel uneasy or happy, romantic. I mean, there's all kinds of different ways to use color. And it's just a whole other layer, a whole other dimension to a work of art. If this were just black and white, it'd be kind of just bleh, meh, But you put in these rich, delicious watercolor splashes and these tones, and you change the variety of from dark to light, the tonality of it, and it's exquisite. It becomes exquisite. To me, this is fine art. I don't know. I'm aesthetically really, really plugged into this kind of stuff. One struggle at a time. Yes, well said. Heck yeah, coloring has mood. My favorite Sith Lord, Papa Palps. I didn't know about that. Okay. And then now it switches over to red. So now there's a different character. I think that's supposed to be like the moody Luke Skywalker, maybe. I don't know. But look at the drama in that face. Look at the way the shadows give psychology and depth. I also like the looseness of the inking, which you can see in my inking. If you see this kind of inking, and you look at the way that I ink, then it's like I get it now. Like this is a type of aesthetic or a style that I come from, if you will, if you want to put it that way. Now this is a whole other thing. This is what is this? What's his face? Indiana Jones. So like, it's a different artist, but even in this case, look at the use of the blue. It indicates like this is at nighttime, and it just has a different feeling to it. The way it's used. The way that it's used, say here for the punch. And on a blue page, the orange and red and yellow, they pop out. You see what I'm saying? So these are just sort of graphic devices, visual devices. Look at this. This is kind of interesting. Look at this lady's face here. Beautifully done. You know, and it's in line with the inking because the inking shows that there's underlighting, you know. Yeah, kind of neat stuff. Now check this out. I'm gonna blow your mind with something else here. Hold on a second. A little warning though, there might be some boobies in this one. I hope boobies are okay with you guys. I love boobies, but some people are kind of freaked out by them. Okay, this is. He goes by the name Mobius. He's Jean Girard. He's a French comic book illustrator, and very. It's really hard to come up with words to describe this guy as a comic book illustrator. But one of his strengths is his color, the use of color, the palette is what you would say. The line work is actually, in this case, in this story, is very sublime. It's not like a million zillion different lines to describe something, you know. And then bang, look at that. Look at the opening shot of that. With this guy sitting on an island, you know, this huge red ocean. It's just so beautiful. You know, it's very simple. It's the understatement of it is partly what makes it amazing. Let's see what the message is here. Boobs. Yeah. So it's just a different thing to look at. Let's see if I can noodle around here. Yeah, there's other people that are more eloquent than I am in terms of talking about Mobius, but he's one of my favorite artists. So I just thought, I guess there's one more. You know what, actually? Hold on. This guy, Mike Mignola, one of my all-time favorites, whom I met. In my last show, I actually talked about the time that I met him at New York City Comic Con. He's a genius of light and shadow. That's like pretty much his whole thing, is that his line work's very simple, but he creates these exquisite, sorry for the glare, exquisite works of art that are just beautifully simplistic and understated. And then his sense of color is the same. There's something about it that's just very sublime, and it creates a mood, you know, it creates a certain mood. Let's see if I can find some other shots here. This is one of his earlier Hellboys too. Like, he's so much more advanced now. I feel like the glare on the book is kind of ruining it for you, unfortunately. I bet the Killer Tomato was a crazy combo of drawing. Looks like Matisse's work almost. Oh, that's an interesting analogy. Muy interesante. Anyway, I'm gonna get back to work here because I'm goofing off. Crack the whip. Back to work. What else is up? Yeah, I was hanging out with, there's like these old dudes that I play pool with. And I don't see them very frequently, but I went and shot some pool with them today, since today was a day off. And we were just catching up and stuff. And they're like, "Hey, what do you think about Trump?" You know, they know I'm plugged in with politics and stuff. And these guys are old. I mean, they're in their 70s and stuff. So I'm not. I there's always a chance of like, oh, I don't want to offend anybody. You know what I mean? And then there's other people in and around the area there. So I'm nicer to them than I am to like, you know, people online or whatever. But you know, I said, look, you know, he's like a wild card. He's surrounded himself with the deep state, the very people they promised to get rid of. You know, but then at the same time, he's kind of starting off strong with certain policies and stuff. And I was just like, we'll see. You know, we'll see. But and I don't personally, I'm not feeling super positive about him right now. Everyone has a signature trait when it comes to drawing. What do you think is yours? Jeez, gosh, man, you got all the hard questions today. You know, I'm very I'm very critical of myself. I'm not very nice to myself. I'm kind of mean in terms of like, you know, I'm not as happy with my work as I would like to be, so I just keep trying, you know, to get better. I think that there's a certain looseness to my work that I think is attractive, but at the same time, I don't want to be so loose that it's like messy or out of control, if that makes sense. So there's that struggle where I kind of go back and forth with those things. I think my anatomy is pretty strong. I think my perspective drawing, my architecture, I've got some good strengths, I guess. The better question would be to ask the people in the chat that, like, people who know me, people who know my work. That would be more, I think, revealing because it's more objective, you know. It's hard for me to be objective, I guess, you know. Excuse me. Oh, Marvel comic. Hold on. It still has its uninformed look. It still has its uninformed look. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Marvel comic art has a unique signature trait to it. It does during different time periods. Like right now, Marvel's going through a weird identity crisis where they're hiring people on the basis of politics rather than skill. It's like a diversity, equity, inclusion kind of problem. And, excuse me, and a lot of women. And a lot of these women are very like, you know, don't make women beautiful because it's holding women to an impossible beauty standard. You know, it's like, have you looked at Superman recently? You know, like men don't sit around complaining that like superheroes have big muscles and that it makes us feel sad because we don't have big muscles. You know, it's a freaking comic book. You know, so they're uglifying all the women. This is happening in video games. It's just the whole woke bullshit that's going on out there. You know. But so back in I don't know, say let's say the '60s, Jack Kirby was the king, King Kirby, and everybody wanted to copy his style. And then in the '70s, it was John Buscema who was like the corporate style. I would recommend looking up John Buscema, How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way. That's actually an excellent resource. And there's a great book on that too that people can buy. I'm a massive John Buscema fan. Like, you know, I should probably try to copy him more, you know. But he's mostly known for his work on Conan. He's like, you know, really heroic, masculine kind of art. Sorry. Okay. And then I don't know, maybe around the late '90s, early 2000s, there were a lot of people that were kind of into manga, and they were bringing in like a Japanese influence, or crossing over Western comics with like Japanese techniques and stuff. Not everybody, but it was a bit of a fad, I guess, at the time. Um, what else? What else? There was that period where you had the guys that went off and created Image Comics, and Mark Silvestri, Eric Larson, Jim Lee. Jim Lee being one of the most famous of that bunch. And like they kind of had their own style. In my opinion, personally, I was not, am not a big fan of a lot of those guys. I like Jim Lee now, but I didn't like him back then. Like, you know, in his earlier career, because they were like, everything was overwrought. It was just like, put a million lines in there and then that makes it cool. And I'm like, that's stupid. That's just doesn't make any sense to me, you know, whatever. But I give those guys, you know, their due. Let's read some comments here. We say we don't like politics, but it seems like we can't run from it. That's well said, actually. I just thought of something. The deep sea divers, to me, are the real life superheroes in a sense, especially when it was all historical. Well, it's probably a lot like flying down there, but I mean, imagine the dangers that they have to, you know, experience. I was looking at people who live on these oil rigs, and like they get paid insane amounts of money, like, you know, $10,000 a month, you know, stuff like that. And I'm sure they're risking their lives living on these oil rigs out in the ocean with like horrendous conditions out there. But I don't know. What is a superhero? Speaking of fusion, what do you think about the word? The word fusion? What do I think about the word fusion? I'm not sure I understand your question. My main concept, I think, was people trying to harness unlimited source of energy for free. I think of Tesla. Um, I don't really know what your question is for sure. I mean, Tesla is, you know, pretty well known as a genius. I guess people like Tesla, I think there's a case for saying that like they might have gotten like alien downloads or something, you know, like there's something about these people, they were plugged in a way that other people are not. And like somehow they were able to like visualize things and just figure stuff out. It's pretty rare, you know. Anyway, we got Mr. Shadows back. Yes. Well, getting back to the word fusion, I'm gonna just basically say I don't really think I know much about fusion. I'm assuming you're saying that fusion is some form of energy, like atomic fusion. Is this what we're fission fusion? Are we? Because I don't know much about that. But hello to Mr. Shadow. Hey, brother Kent, how's it going? Awesome drawing. Keep up the great work. I'm doing okay. I'm a little. I think it's time for a little water. I'm talking so much. I was dry out. Hold on. Robert Pyle is here. Oh, that kind of fusion. See, I just needed someone to explain that to me. It's like nuclear fusion, fission. What are you, Nicholas Tech? I didn't know what was going on. So, This is the thing that people don't like about me, is that I don't like manga. I don't like Japanese comics. It's just not my cup of tea, and I can tell you why I don't like it. I can tell you why, but I'm the bad guy, and I'm the odd man out. Because everybody loves it. I like art that is realistic, that has like there's an illustrative realism to it, that it's stylized, but at the same time it's realistic enough where you can identify with it, where it's if you look at, say, like the Mike Mignola stuff, that's very stylized. It's not like kind of photorealism or something, but it's real enough. I don't know. I guess, like, whereas I feel like manga, everything has to be cute. Even like the most badass guy that they can come up with, he either looks weird or he's kind of like in a boy band or something like that. And I'm like, it just destroys the illusion for me. It destroys the sense of power or whatever it is. To me, and I mean, I lived in Japan, I know Japanese culture, and they have like a very weird obsession with cuteness. It's like borderline pedophilia. To me, it creeps me out. It's fine for girls and kids, but like, I don't think adults should be into that. That to me is like, grow up, grow out of that shit. Now I understand that people younger than me grew up with manga and anime. They grew up with it. So it's like, if I grew up with it, I would have the same kind of love for it. It's like a nostalgia. You know what I'm saying? And I respect that. That's fine. But to explain for myself, no, I'm not into that. So do I like fusing like Western and Eastern comics? There's some people that do it well. There are some people that do it well. But again, I'm like, Western art is good enough. It doesn't need to be fused with anything. Our artists are amazing. We invented the medium of comics. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? So let's see what we got here in this here. Let's see what you guys are talking about. Wow, man, you're flying. I gotta catch up here. Manga Fusion. Bush says, I saw a video online once where there was a spherical device, and in the middle there was a bubble, and water inside connected to a frequency machine the person dialed. Da 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 da. It fused. It's the Punisher plasmoid. The bubble turned into a star inside the sphere and measured the heat. Pyle says, I like some of the black and white art and manga, but I hate the storylines. So that's a whole other thing. Because I've tried and tried and tried giving manga, a try. Because I know so many people that are like, oh, you've got to read this graphic novel. This is so good. This is so hard. I really, really want you to like this. And I'd read it, and in Western writing, like script writing, TV writing, film writing, they have a thing that they call odta, ODTAA. And this is like, writers, they always watch out for odta. Don't do odta. And well, what does it stand for? One damn thing after another. And that means when this happens, then that happens, then that happens, and none of it's fucking connected. It's just, that's exactly what manga feels like to me. It's like, and now this, and now that, and now the next thing, and then the other thing, and I'm like, where's the damn story? Like, it's just a bunch of things that you think are exciting. It's like, okay, or like cute and funny and exciting, and cute and funny and exciting, and then silly and funny and cute, and like, but you're not telling a story though. Now, I guarantee there's great manga out there. There's the one with the samurai that has the baby, Wolf and Cub, I think it is. I'm sure there's great manga out there, but I don't know. I don't have any interest in it. Put it that way. Let's see. Yeah, what is that? Fusion is weird. Multi layers. It's very kawaii. All right, so somebody knows a little Japanese out there. This scene doesn't make sense. Which scene are we talking about? This one here? But yeah, kawaii is Japanese for cute. So, it's something if you live in Japan and you're walking around doing stuff, it's just a really common word. You hear that all the time. But hey, who am I to judge? Like, it's just not my thing. Anyway, back to work. Oh, I know. I need. Okay. Oh, there it is. So, and I don't mean to offend anybody, and I suppose I am offending people by saying what I say about manga. I apologize for that. People have strong opinions, People have strong opinions about stuff. How you close then, like 10 foot away? I guess you're probably referring to one of the pages there. Let's see. I'm losing track of what's going on in here, guys. I should probably just get focused. That is a good idea. Captain Civil Rights. Captain Civil Rights Movement. I'm much more like Malcolm X than I am the other guy. I think we should have a Malcolm X Day. Martin Luther King Jr. What was I reading? I was reading something about him recently. I guess even according to Christians, he didn't sort of follow like traditional teachings from the Bible. I don't know that. I just read that, but they're saying like they didn't say he was a heretic, but that he didn't. He didn't believe in certain things or wouldn't preach certain things. Kind of like he's cherry picking parts of the Bible, which of course to Christians is a huge no-no. Okay, what's shaking here? My cassette player chewed up my docking tape. Oh, bummer, dude. So skilled in detail. Thank you, sir. When was this? Back in '88? You're talking about docking? What is a heretic? A heretic would be someone who goes against the traditional teachings of a religion. Like in the old days, in say, in Europe or wherever, they would burn heretics, and stuff like that. That if they, it's pretty harsh. But that was one of the things they did back in the day. I just had an idea, but I had to go back to this page because I want these characters to have there's that symbol. It's like a symbol that appears throughout the story that kind of symbolizes like the bad guys, and I want to make sure that these characters are wearing them. It's one of those things you gotta, when you're doing comics, there's like a million little symbols and things that have to appear consistently throughout. Yeah, that's helpful. Okay. All right, back to work. Yeah, I guess witches would be considered heretical for sure. Let's check out the chat. They are releasing the Malcolm X, JFK, and Martin Luther King files. I've heard about the JFK file. I think there's a lot already out there about Martin Luther King, but I think the number one is the JFK file because Israel killed him, the Mossad killed him, and that opens up a pretty dirty can of worms, as you can imagine. Especially, you guys understand what I mean. So that would be the big one. Necromancers. Let's see. Oaf says they should release the Epstein files. Yeah, dude, like everything is fake and gay until they release the Epstein files. But it's like, I mean, who knows? Maybe Trump's in there too. Maybe he's on that list too. Wait till they release the UFO files. That'll blow everybody's mind right out of the water. In fact, when they do, it's going to put world religions in a really, really, really tough place. I'm just saying. Sorry, I'm slightly less organized today, guys. I need this one character sheet in order to draw this character. So I think instead of doing that and screwing around, I'll just jump over to another page that I can just work on without troubles of this kind. So thought, let's see, Michael says, thought that was so profound and I saw more females being blamed for witch activities. The cassette, it says, you wrinkled the paper. Which one? Let's see. Who killed JFK? Mossad killed JFK. Let's see. Where did you get a cassette tape? Yeah, they already have. Okay. Alright, let's see what else we've got on music. Put some other tunes on here after the commercials. I could probably zoom in for you a bit. Easier to see. I'll turn the sound up a bit on the music. There we go. All right. So this character here, this woman, she's in the story of MAGA Force. They kill off the original team, and then they hire all these sort of like diversity hire superheroes. And one is this Chinese spy, and it's this woman here. She goes by the name of Red Jade. And, excuse me, she even has the symbol for China, like right on her forehead. Zhongguo. And it's just a kind of a reference to like Chinese spies in U.S. government, you know. So the whole world that I'm creating here is something of a reflection of the whole political world that we live in, you know, only translated into like a superhero action story, you know. Yeah. That's pretty much what fiction does, you know. It takes real life situations and fictionalizes them, you know. Yeah, there you go, and now you know. All right, I feel like this needs a background up in here. Like it's a cool scene, but it just feels super empty to me. I don't know. What do you guys think? I kind of feeling like yeah, but I'll have to work that out. The other thing I need to do, well, we'll work on these cars here. These smashing up cars. That's what we'll do. This is AI art. No, I assure you I'm real. I assure you I'm not a robot. No. You know, there was somebody I know who took my voice and put it into like an AI voice generator and then typed in something and then so it made it sound like I said that thing, you know? And on the one hand, at first it was like, wow, that's cool. But then I was like, oh shit, you know, like you can make anybody say anything with this software. You know, it's kind of scary. Not good. Probably bend this down a little bit. Yep. Can you guys hear the music at all in the background? A little Pink Floyd action going on here. A little Pink Floyd action. song called Echoes by Pink Floyd. I think it's about Icarus. It's talking about flying around the sun. They filmed it in like a Greek amphitheater, and it's kind of an interesting thing. All right, let's continue. Let's see. Only 8 tracks. Only 8 tracks for me. Aha. Good implementation on the background. Okay. Oh my God, what a troll. You use protractors. What the? As a kid, I always enjoyed these things. Well, whenever you're doing mechanical stuff, don't freehand it. You really want to use these. So now my work's very organic. Like, look how organic this is. The brush work, and it's very, very alive. You know, it's not stiff. It's like that feels like fur. You can sense the muscles under there. You can see the folding in the clothes as she twists, you know. I like the drama of that. But like if I were to just try to draw these car crashes with freehand, I can do that here and there a little bit, but overall though it looks it just looks crappy. It doesn't look professional. So it's a it's sort of one of those things I learned from comic book pros, you know, is don't try to do that, you know. So there's a variety of tools that you get, you know, stuff like this that have different size squiggly lines and this and that and what have you. So I'm going to be cranking out a couple of those bad boys. How is that cheating? Chad Love, nice 8-track tapes. Pyle says you have to use them when you ink unless you want the drawing to look more organic. Yes. Don't try to do what. So the thing is, the human hand is shaky and imperfect. And so if you're trying to make a perfect circle or a perfect angle or this or that, you know, it's just better to use these kinds of tools. The end result, I promise you, will look better. So like, you saw me drawing like buildings and stuff in one of the past. I'm trying to see if I have anything handy with that. Oh, look here. Here's a really good example. So this is like a satellite that I drew, you know, and I'll kind of back out a bit. And so, you know, the satellite's zooming in on a town, and there's like, you know, it's, you know, the dude is hitting the keyboard to blast out a laser ray to take out Maui or Palisades, California. Oops, did I just say that? And so you use rulers and things of that nature to draw those mechanical things, you know. Pyle says, I have those same French curves and ellipse templates. Yeah. There you go, and now you know. So let me get back to work. I dropped one of my thingies. Oh boy. Very unprofessional show today. Sorry, guys. Yeah, you saw the Mason symbol. I don't know. I might get whacked for this comic book. Be the first one in history to get whacked over a comic book. Oh, commercial time. We interrupt this show for a cool commercial. And back to the music. I think in comics, when you get scenes like this, that's part of what's cool about comics is the details. You know, seeing shit get smashed up or whatever. You know. Yeah. See if I can zoom in for you. Let's see. That's cray cray. I'm gonna have to start tinkering in some line drawings too. Good. Pyle says still have a hard time believing that you just ink on regular old printer paper. Bush says, I love the oldish Latino prison art and lowrider graffiti stuff. Okay. Well, I mean, you know, I have like, you know, comic book illustration friends that don't like that I do this, that I use like printer paper. You know, they're like, I'm not supposed to do that, but, you know, and, the one was like, oh, it's kind of bleedy. And I'm like, you know what? I'm saving a ton of money on this, so shut the pile. You know what I'm saying? um, yeah, I guess I'm just getting away with it, you know. Somehow. Let's see. I'm trying to. I'll zoom in a little bit so it's a little nicer to see. You forgot that person's hands. Yeah, the reason why is because hands at that angle really have to, they're tricky to draw. Excuse me. So I'm going to get in there with pencil and work it out more clearly. You know, make sure that they are anatomically correct. Let's see. It looks really good, though, for being drawn on printer paper. I just don't understand how you do it, and it makes it looks that good. Wow, that's a nice thing to say. I just do it. I don't, you know, I don't know. I'll be honest. I mean, I would prefer to use Bristol board. It's just like I said, it's expensive. You know. What are you gonna do? You know. So like, here's a, what do you call it? A bumper stick, not bumper sticker. Your license plate. Like, should I put 1488 on there? Should I write that there? A little Easter egg. What do you think? I love how you don't wait for the pen to leak. Nice pace of stroke, precision. Maybe that's why. Maybe that's how I do it. You know, like it's. I'll tell you, after years and years of doing like Japanese and Chinese painting, I I did acquire a certain flow, and that's probably coming through in my inking. I would assume. You cannot leave the pen on the paper. You let it hit it and flow right off. It's like a little sword. You know, you have to just like if you let it sit there, it'll just bleed. You know. There you go. There you go. Are you guys able to hear the music at all, or it's just me? Nice. I'm copying your detailing, sir. Copy away. Oh, there you go. And there you go. All right. Kind of going silent here a little bit, guys. I'm not talking politics or anything. What's wrong with me? So where did lead lead pencils come from, and how do you know? I'd have no idea. What do you think of drafting? So, to my understanding, drafting is more like for engineers and technical drawing. You know what I'm saying? if I were an architect, I would do drafting. You know what I'm saying? Um, so there's special tools for that. I don't have any background in that actually, so can't really comment intelligently. Um, okay, Hippocratic Oath says, even if Bannon removes Elon, we got my buddy Larry Ellison coming in. There is always another boss. Yeah, it's just, should we even hope? Should we even try? I mean, it's just like, this is kind of my, this sort of comes back to my idea that I've been talking about on my Telegram, is like the great opt out. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel as if we all just need to walk away, just walk away from the government and the world and make our own, you know. I know that there's like the whole, they won't let you, or, they'll come after you. Where did I see this? It was something like being punished for boycotting Israeli products. You mentioned the fucking gall of that. It's like, you're not allowed to boycott our products. What? You must buy our products? What? I mean, like, someone, like, you know, I don't know. I think you hear kind of what I'm trying to say here. It's like, if I feel like if we just collectively walked away from everything and stopped paying into the system, then the system would automatically collapse. I know there's a couple slightly dangerous, you know, topics in there, but in general, though, like, money rules all of this shit. And if we can, you know, use our collective financial power, I think we could have more leverage. You know what I'm saying? I think it's about collectivizing. That to me seems to be the number one thing. Is convincing people to collectivize. I had talked about my idea of collectivizing to that one of my boomer friends, and like he loved the idea, but simultaneously he was like, nobody's gonna stick their neck out for that, and that was very, very discouraging. Although I kind of knew it already. You know what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't like a big surprise or what have you. But I do feel like that's, as far as like whatever power we have, that's that's most of it right there. You know what I'm saying? Um, a lot of it too is just attitude. You know what I mean? Like this whole, like him saying, "Oh, no one's gonna stick their neck out for it." Everyone is just trying to survive so much, and everyone's coping with depression or health issues or this or that and the other thing, that, you know, they can't think from like a revolutionary mindset. You know what I'm saying? And that's, of course, very helpful to our enemies. You know. Let's see. It's also tiresome. Yeah, God. Whew, that's you. You hit the nail on the head, bro. But there's kind of a side to me that's like, well, you know, we figured it out. You know, we got this far. Why can't others? You know, um, it doesn't seem impossible that others can make it to where we are. You know, and I don't know. So I was listening to a talk show recently. It's one of these famous talk shows in our political sphere. I'm not gonna name it because I love and respect the guys on the show, but I haven't heard the show in a long time, and I thought, you know, this would be good to kind of catch up a little bit here, see what they're doing, you know, and they were kind of doing the same old, like, you know, we need to do this and we need to do that. And I'm like, well, then why don't you do it? You know, that's it's sort of my attitude was like, you know, then do it. Like organize, get organized. You know, easier said than done. Easier said than done. But still, um, I just feel. I mean, it's that's kind of what I always said is like the movement needs to be. We should treat it like a business. Um, there should be, you know, departments and officers and managers and workers and whatever your skill sets are, you apply it to X, you know, whatever, if that's web development or finance or education, media, you know, um, so yeah. I guess maybe one of the biggest impediments is this whole like, if we do that, then we're gonna like get on somebody's radar and they're gonna try to shut it down and like all and it'll put me in danger. Now, like in England, in certain ways, in Europe, there's actual real dangers. People go to jail for shit, like putting a sticker up that says it's okay to be white. You know, but like, and then I don't know. It's just like we just can't keep making excuses. We just can't. You know, it's got to come to an end. And I don't see. We don't. I really just don't think we have any more time. And that's kind of part of the whole Trump psyop is that, oh, you know, everything's fine now. You know, just go back to work. Uh, it's gonna be fine. You know, gas prices are going down. You know, don't this, that, and the other thing. You know. Let's see here. Blah 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 blah. Don't need any commercials during my music. Thank you. No, I don't need commercials. You can shut your face. Thank you. And back to the music. Here we go. Okay. All right. These topics, they kind of run in circles. We've been talking about this shit for a long time, and there's a lot of people that did the work. They figured shit out a while back. And so the templates or whatever are already kind of laid out. Um, it's not that difficult, but what's difficult again is like educating and normalizing. Um, I always feel like that's probably one of the big ones. It's really got me thinking that like this is why I need to actually get back into music. Like I'm doing this, but music I feel is the one. That's like the more powerful medium. Um, I am actually reaching out to a buddy that I reconnected with who does recording, and I'll see about hanging out with him and this and that, something something. But I think music has a stronger impact on people in many ways. Um, okay, even Bannon removes if. Oh no, we read that. It's also to get in contact with Wolf Shield. He's big in the DR music scene. So yes, I'm friends with him. He and I are founding members of the White Art Collective, and I know he just put out the Fedora Favorites show. Um, he actually asked me like, when are you putting out more music, dude? What, like, like, get off your ass, like that. Um, and I told him, I've got a lot of songs in production. When I say production, I mean I'm writing them. I don't have, they're not like in the studio production. But yeah, there you go. Okay. And it's going on 11 o'clock, guys. I gotta work. Daddy's gotta work tomorrow. Oh, that's right. I tend to forget that's connected. Yes. So on that note, I don't think I was very fun tonight. I'm sorry for that. I don't think I was very interesting or fun like I usually am. But I appreciate your coming and hanging, and we will do some more next time. So you guys have a good one. Stay safe. Keep warm. See you next time. Okay. You're welcome. Bye bye.